Have you ever found yourself staring at your phone, waiting for a reply that never comes? Or walked into a room where someone's deliberate coldness made the air feel thick and heavy? Being ignored cuts deep, shaking your sense of self-worth. But here's the truth. How you react in these moments can shape not only the relationship but also your inner strength and resilience. Let's face it, being ignored can feel like a punch to the gut. You wonder, what did I do wrong? Or why don't I matter to them anymore? These questions haunt your mind, spiraling into self-doubt. And the worst part, the mistakes you make in response often amplify the pain rather than solve the issue. This video isn't about quick fixes or shallow advice. It's about transformation, giving you the tools to navigate silence with wisdom, poise, and strength. By the end of this, you'll not only understand the 5 key mistakes to avoid, but also how to reclaim your power, rooted in the timeless principles of Stoicism and personal growth. So are you ready to unlock a version of yourself that doesn't crumble in the face of rejection? Let's dive into the first mistake, a trap so common yet so damaging: chasing after attention when it's being withheld. Mistake 1. Chasing them for attention. When someone ignores you, the instinctive reaction is to pursue them. You send texts, make calls, or even go out of your way to bump into them. On the surface, it feels logical. If they're pulling away, wouldn't your effort show them how much you care? But here's the harsh truth. Chasing someone who is ignoring you often does the opposite of what you intend. Let's break this down. Imagine someone ignores your text, and you immediately follow up with, "Hey, did you see my message?" If they still don't respond, you try again. "Are you okay? Did I do something wrong?" The more you chase, the more they retreat. Why? Because desperation is not attractive. It signals that you're placing your worth in their hands, making it easy for them to devalue you further. But why do we chase? It often stems from fear of abandonment, fear of being unimportant, or fear of losing control. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this fear controlling me? And if so, how can I regain the reins? Stoic relationships teach us this. Your worth does not depend on external validation. As the Stoics remind us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The silence of others is their choice, but your reaction is yours. Instead of chasing, shift the focus inward. When you chase, you're essentially saying, "I need you to feel whole." But imagine how powerful it would be to stand firm in the face of being ignored, to calmly say, "Your silence does not define me." This isn't about arrogance, it's about self-respect. Now, this doesn't mean you should never reach out to someone. Communication is vital in healthy relationships. But there's a difference between a thoughtful message and a barrage of desperate pleas. Consider the intent behind your actions. Are you reaching out because you genuinely want to connect, or because you're seeking reassurance for your insecurities? Here's a practical exercise. The next time someone ignores you, resist the urge to act immediately. Take a step back and breathe. Write down your feelings, let them flow onto paper without judgment. Then, ask yourself, what does this situation teach me about myself? This reflection not only helps you process your emotions, but also strengthens your ability to respond thoughtfully. In the long run, chasing attention drains your energy and erodes your sense of self. Instead, channel that energy into growth. Focus on your passions, nurture your friendships, and invest in your well-being. This shift not only benefits you, but also changes the dynamic. People are naturally drawn to those who exude confidence and independence. Consider this. In Stoic relationships, the strongest bond is not built on dependency, but mutual respect and understanding. When you stop chasing, you give the other person space to reflect on their actions. And more importantly, you send a clear message to yourself. I am enough. Finally, remember this. Silence is not the end of your story. It's a chapter, a chance to pause, reassess, and grow. Instead of seeing it as a rejection, see it as an opportunity to practice patience and resilience. Are you ready to reclaim your power? In the next section, we'll explore another mistake that can sabotage your relationships: letting anger control you. Stay tuned, because this insight could completely shift how you approach conflict. Mistake 2. Letting anger control you. When someone ignores you, it's easy for anger to take over. The silence feels disrespectful, frustrating, and even humiliating. You might think, how dare they treat me this way? And before you know it, your emotions have spiraled into a storm. But here's the reality. Letting anger control you is like throwing fuel on a fire. It rarely solves anything and often makes the situation worse. So why is anger such a dangerous response? First, it clouds your judgment. When emotions take the wheel, rationality is pushed to the backseat. You might find yourself sending a heated text, lashing out, or saying something you can't take back. The result? Instead of mending the connection, you widen the gap, creating even more distance and tension. Now, pause and reflect. How often has reacting in anger truly improved a situation? Likely never. Anger might feel empowering in the moment, but it often leaves regret in its wake. The question you need to ask yourself is, do I want to act in a way that reflects my values, or do I want to be a slave to my emotions? Let's turn to Stoicism here, which provides a powerful lens to navigate these moments. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control the actions of others, we have full control over how we respond. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When someone ignores you, their behavior is beyond your control. But your response, that's entirely within your grasp. So how do you manage anger when it bubbles up? Start with awareness. When you feel the initial spark of frustration, take a moment to pause. Recognize the emotion without judgment. Simply naming it, "I'm angry," can help create distance between you and the feeling. This small act puts you back in control. Next, focus on your breath. It might sound simple, but deep breathing is one of the most effective ways to calm the nervous system. Try this. Inhale deeply for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and exhale slowly for 6 counts. Repeat this cycle a few times and notice how the intensity of your anger begins to fade. Another powerful strategy is to reframe the situation. Instead of seeing the silence as a personal attack, consider alternative explanations. Maybe the person is dealing with their own struggles, or perhaps their silence has nothing to do with you. Shifting your perspective can soften the sting and help you respond with empathy rather than hostility. Here's an important point. Controlling your anger doesn't mean suppressing it. Suppression only bottles up emotions, leading to an eventual explosion. Instead, channel your anger in constructive ways. Write your feelings in a journal, go for a run, or talk it out with a trusted friend. These outlets allow you to release the energy without causing harm. One of the most empowering things you can do when ignored is to choose your response carefully. Instead of reacting with anger, respond with calmness and clarity. This not only demonstrates emotional maturity but also leaves the door open for resolution. People are far more likely to engage with someone who communicates thoughtfully rather than aggressively. Imagine this scenario. Someone ignores your message, and instead of reacting impulsively, you take a day to cool off. When you do reach out, you send a message like this: "I noticed I haven't heard back from you. I hope everything's okay on your end. Let me know when you're ready to talk." This approach shows respect for both yourself and the other person, setting a tone of maturity and understanding. The next time you feel anger rising, remember the bigger picture. Is your goal to repair the relationship or to vent your frustration? Keep your focus on what truly matters. By responding with grace, you not only preserve your dignity but also increase the chances of a positive outcome. Here's where Stoicism comes into play once again. When we embrace Stoic relationships, we understand that our worth is not tied to how others treat us, but to how we treat ourselves. Silence from others can be a test, a chance to cultivate patience and resilience. Each time you choose calmness over anger, you strengthen your character and become a person who commands respect, not through force, but through self-mastery. Take a moment to reflect. What does your anger say about you? Is it a signal that you need to let go of control, or perhaps a reminder to focus on your own peace? The answers to these questions can guide you toward growth and wisdom. Before we move on, let's take a quick breather. If you're finding these insights helpful, show some love. Like this video and drop a comment saying number 1 to let us know you're enjoying it so far. And if you're ready to level up your relationships with more Stoic wisdom, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new video. Returning to our journey, it's essential to understand that anger is a natural emotion. It's how you handle it that defines you. By practicing self-awareness, reframing situations, and channeling your energy constructively, you can transform anger into a tool for growth rather than destruction. As we move forward, the next mistake we'll explore hits close to home for many: overanalyzing the situation. Overthinking can trap you in a cycle of doubt and insecurity, but there's a way out. Stay tuned, because this next insight might just set you free. Mistake 3. Overanalyzing the situation. Have you ever caught yourself replaying a situation over and over in your mind, searching for the moment it all went wrong? When someone ignores you, the silence can feel unbearable, and in that silence, the mind becomes a stage for overthinking. You start dissecting every word you said, every action you took, and every possible reason they might be avoiding you. But here's the hard truth. Overanalyzing doesn't give you answers, it gives you anxiety. Why do we fall into this trap? It's natural to want clarity. Silence leaves a void and your mind tries to fill it with meaning. Did I offend them? Are they angry with me? Did they find someone better? The possibilities swirl in your head, and before long, you're lost in a maze of self-doubt. But this mental spiral does more harm than good, robbing you of peace and perspective. Here's a question to ponder. Do your thoughts bring you closer to understanding the situation, or are they pulling you further away from reality? Overanalyzing creates stories that may not even be true. Instead of focusing on what you know, you start inventing scenarios based on fear and insecurity. These stories often paint you in the worst light, convincing you that you're the problem. Stoicism offers a liberating perspective here. Marcus Aurelius reminds us you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The behavior of others is outside your control. What you can control is how you interpret and respond to their actions. Overanalyzing wastes that precious control, handing your peace of mind over to speculation. The next time you catch yourself overthinking, try this. Pause and ask yourself, what do I actually know to be true? For example, if someone hasn't responded to your message, the only fact is that they haven't responded. Everything else, why they're ignoring you, what they're thinking, or how they feel, is pure speculation. Grounding yourself in the facts can help you break free from the cycle of overthinking. Another powerful tool against overanalyzing is mindfulness. When your thoughts start spiraling, bring your attention back to the present moment. Focus on your breath, the sounds around you, or the sensations in your body. This simple act of grounding pulls you out of your head and back into reality. Remember, the present moment is where your power lies, not in the imagined scenarios of your mind. It's also important to give yourself grace. Overanalyzing often stems from a desire to fix things, to make sense of the confusion. But sometimes the best action is no action at all. Give the other person space and give yourself the same. Use this time to focus on what brings you joy and fulfillment. Invest in your hobbies, connect with supportive friends, or dive into a project that excites you. Shifting your focus from "why are they ignoring me" to "how can I grow" is a game changer. Let's talk about self-worth for a moment. When someone ignores you, it can feel like a reflection of your value. But here's the truth. Your worth is not determined by how others treat you. Think about that for a second. You are not defined by someone else's silence. This is one of the foundational principles of Stoic relationships. Your value comes from within, not from external validation. Consider this scenario. You're waiting for a response from someone and days go by with no word. Instead of spiraling into overanalysis, you choose to focus on yourself. You start a new workout routine, catch up with friends, or learn a new skill. By the time the person does respond, if they do, you've grown stronger and more self-assured. That's the power of shifting your energy inward. Here's another way to look at it. Overthinking is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Instead of wasting mental energy on things you can't control, redirect it toward building resilience and inner peace. Journaling can be a fantastic outlet for this. Write down your thoughts, fears, and frustrations. Seeing them on paper can provide clarity and help you process your emotions in a healthier way. Now let's address the what-if questions that fuel overthinking. What if they don't care about me anymore? What if I ruined everything? These questions are rooted in fear, not fact. Instead of engaging with them, challenge them. Ask yourself, what if I'm overthinking this? Or what if this is an opportunity for me to grow stronger? By reframing your thoughts, you can shift from a place of fear to a place of empowerment. Remember, Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about recognizing that your peace of mind is too valuable to sacrifice to uncertainty. When you stop overanalyzing and start focusing on what you can control, you reclaim your power. Before we move on, let's pause for a moment. If this video is resonating with you, let us know. Hit that like button and drop a comment saying number 1 if you're finding these insights helpful. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more wisdom on Stoic relationships and personal growth. Your support helps us create content that empowers you to navigate life with confidence and clarity. As we continue, the next mistake we'll discuss is one that many people fall into: changing yourself to win someone back. This mistake not only undermines your authenticity but also jeopardizes your self-respect. Stay with us, because understanding this could transform the way you view relationships forever. Mistake 4. Changing yourself to win them back. When someone ignores you, it can spark a desperate desire to win their approval. You start questioning yourself. Am I not good enough? What can I change to make them notice me again? This line of thinking often leads to a dangerous mistake, changing who you are to fit someone else's expectations. But here's the truth. Compromising your authenticity doesn't lead to connection, it leads to self-betrayal. Let's start by unpacking why this happens. Humans are wired to seek acceptance. Being ignored feels like rejection, and rejection triggers a primal fear of not belonging. In this vulnerable state, you may feel compelled to adjust your personality, appearance, or even values to align with what you think the other person wants. You might dress differently, act differently, or suppress your opinions, all in the hope of being good enough. But let's ask a vital question. If you have to change yourself to make someone stay, are they really staying for you? The answer is no. They're staying for a version of you that isn't real. Over time, maintaining this facade becomes exhausting, and resentment builds. You resent them for not accepting you as you are, and you resent yourself for pretending to be someone you're not. Here's where Stoicism provides profound guidance. The Stoics believe that true freedom comes from living in alignment with your values. As Epictetus said, "Who then is invincible? The one who cannot be upset by anything outside their reasoned choice." When you change yourself to win someone back, you're surrendering your freedom. You're allowing external validation to dictate your sense of worth. Instead, focus on embracing your authenticity. Start by asking yourself, who am I when I'm at my best? Reflect on your strengths, passions, and core values. These are the foundation of your identity, the parts of you that remain constant regardless of external circumstances. When you reconnect with your authentic self, you radiate a confidence that is far more attractive than any artificial persona. Now, let's talk about the consequences of changing yourself for someone else. First, it creates a power imbalance in the relationship. By altering who you are to meet their expectations, you're essentially putting them on a pedestal. This dynamic makes it difficult to establish mutual respect and equality, both of which are essential for healthy Stoic relationships. Second, changing yourself for someone else often leads to internal conflict. You might gain their attention temporarily, but deep down, you'll feel disconnected from your true self. Over time, this disconnection can manifest as anxiety, depression, or a sense of emptiness. Ask yourself, is their approval worth sacrificing your inner peace? Here's a powerful exercise to reclaim your authenticity. Write down a list of qualities that you value most in yourself. These might include traits like kindness, creativity, or resilience. Then, reflect on whether you've been suppressing any of these qualities to fit someone else's mold. If you have, make a conscious effort to bring them back into your life. For example, if you've stopped expressing your opinions out of fear of being judged, challenge yourself to speak up. Each step you take toward authenticity strengthens your sense of self-worth. It's also important to recognize that the right people will appreciate you for who you truly are. In Stoicism, relationships are not about completing each other but complementing each other. A strong connection is built on mutual respect and understanding, not on one person bending to meet the other's expectations. When you stay true to yourself, you create space for relationships that are genuine and fulfilling. Here's an analogy to consider. Imagine you're a bright, colorful painting. Changing yourself for someone else is like painting over your unique colors to match their preferences. Sure, they might like the new version, but the masterpiece underneath is lost. Instead of hiding your colors, let them shine. The people who truly value you will appreciate the art exactly as it is. Now let's address the fear that often drives this mistake. The fear of losing the person. It's natural to want to hold on to relationships, especially when emotions are involved. But ask yourself, is it worth losing yourself to keep someone else? The answer, every time, should be no. A relationship built on compromise of self is fragile and unsustainable. Consider this. When you prioritize authenticity, you not only strengthen your sense of self but also attract the right people into your life. These are the people who see your worth, not because you change to fit their mold, but because they recognize and value your true essence. If you're struggling with this mistake, take a moment to reflect on your goals. What kind of relationships do you want to cultivate? What values are non-negotiable for you? When you have clarity about what matters most, it becomes easier to make choices that align with your true self. Before we move on to the final mistake, let's take a moment to pause and appreciate the journey so far. If you found this video helpful, like and comment number 1 to show your support. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights on Stoicism, Stoic relationships, and mastering personal growth. Your engagement means the world to us and helps us create more content that empowers you to live authentically. As we approach the final mistake, we'll dive into a behavior that's often overlooked but deeply impactful. Ignoring your own needs while fixating on someone else's silence. This is a trap many fall into, but there's a way to break free. Stay tuned, because this next section is all about reclaiming your energy and prioritizing your well-being. Mistake 5. Ignoring your own needs. When someone ignores you, it's easy to shift your focus entirely onto them. You might find yourself asking, why are they doing this to me? Or how can I fix things? While it's natural to care about the relationship, this hyper-focus on the other person often leads to a critical mistake: neglecting your own needs. Think about it. How much time and energy have you spent replaying their silence in your mind? How often have you put your own well-being on hold, trying to figure out how to win them back or make them notice you? This cycle is not only exhausting but also self-destructive. When you prioritize someone else's behavior over your own health, happiness, and growth, you lose sight of the most important relationship in your life, the one with yourself. Let's explore why this happens. Being ignored can trigger feelings of unworthiness or self-doubt. You might think, if I just try harder, they'll see my value, but here's the reality. No amount of effort on your part can force someone to act differently. Their silence is their choice, not your responsibility. What is your responsibility is how you treat yourself in the face of that silence. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you ignore your own needs to chase after someone else's approval, you're handing over your happiness to an external force. Reclaiming your power begins with recognizing that your well-being is not negotiable. So how do you stop ignoring your own needs? Start by asking yourself a simple but profound question. What do I need right now? This might mean taking time to rest, engaging in activities that bring you joy, or seeking support from people who genuinely care about you. By shifting your focus inward, you remind yourself that you are worthy of care and attention, regardless of how someone else is treating you. Self-care is not selfish, it's essential. When you prioritize your mental, emotional, and physical health, you strengthen your ability to navigate challenges with resilience. This doesn't mean you're ignoring the situation or pretending it doesn't hurt. It means you're choosing to respond from a place of strength rather than desperation. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you've been waiting days for someone to reply to your message. Instead of fixating on their silence, you decide to focus on yourself. You start the day with a workout, prepare a healthy meal, and spend time doing something you love like reading, painting, or hiking. By the end of the day, you feel accomplished and centered, not because the other person reached out, but because you chose to prioritize your own well-being. Here's an important point. Prioritizing yourself doesn't mean shutting others out or becoming indifferent. It means recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. When you take care of yourself, you're better equipped to handle relationships with grace and clarity. And in many cases, this shift in energy can even influence the dynamic. People are naturally drawn to those who exude self-assurance and independence. Reflect on this. How much time do you spend worrying about how others perceive you compared to how you perceive yourself? Stoicism reminds us that external opinions are fleeting, but self-respect is lasting. When you honor your needs, you build a foundation of confidence that no one's silence can shake. Another way to stop ignoring your needs is to establish boundaries. Boundaries are not about pushing people away, they're about defining what you will and won't accept in your life. For example, if someone consistently ignores your messages, you might decide to stop reaching out until they demonstrate a willingness to engage. This boundary isn't about punishing them, it's about protecting your time and energy. Journaling can be a powerful tool in this process. Write down what you're feeling, what you need, and what boundaries you want to set. Seeing your thoughts on paper can provide clarity and help you make decisions that align with your values. For instance, you might write, "I feel hurt by their silence, but I need to focus on what makes me happy. My boundary is to stop chasing their attention and invest in my own growth." Speaking of growth, let's talk about how ignoring your needs can stall your progress. When you're consumed by someone else's behavior, you miss opportunities to learn, create, and thrive. Redirecting your focus toward personal development can be incredibly empowering. This might mean taking up a new skill, pursuing a passion project, or setting goals for your future. Each step you take toward growth reinforces the message that you are enough, just as you are. It's also important to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. While it's tempting to fixate on the person who's ignoring you, there are likely others in your life who value and appreciate you. Spend time with those people. Share your thoughts and feelings with them. Their presence can remind you that you are not alone, and that your worth isn't defined by one person's actions. Let's return to the core idea of Stoicism. Your peace of mind is within your control. By prioritizing your needs, setting boundaries, and focusing on growth, you reclaim your power. You're no longer at the mercy of someone else's choices, you're steering your own ship. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect. Have you been ignoring your needs while trying to navigate someone else's silence? If so, it's time to make a change. Remember, your well-being is your responsibility, and no one else can take care of it for you. As we conclude this video, let's keep the energy going. If you found this discussion helpful, like this video and drop a comment saying number 1 to show your support. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights on Stoicism, Stoic relationships, and personal growth. Your engagement inspires us to create content that helps you live authentically and with strength. Now, take a deep breath. These lessons aren't just about navigating someone else's silence. They're about transforming your relationship with yourself. At the core of Stoicism lies a simple yet profound truth. Your worth is not determined by external circumstances, but by the way you choose to live your life. When you embrace this philosophy, you become unstoppable. Think about the power you now hold. Instead of reacting impulsively, you've learned to pause and reflect. Instead of sacrificing your authenticity, you've committed to honoring your true self. And instead of allowing someone else's actions to dictate your happiness, you've chosen to prioritize your own needs and well-being. These are the tools that will not only help you navigate relationships, but also elevate every aspect of your life. Here's a parting thought. Relationships are not a battlefield where you must fight for validation or control. They are an opportunity to grow, connect, and support one another. But that growth starts within. By applying these insights, you're setting the stage for relationships that are rooted in respect, balance, and authenticity. This is the essence of Stoic relationships, a dynamic where both parties bring their best selves to the table, free from manipulation or dependency. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. In the coming days, put these lessons into practice. When you feel the sting of being ignored, resist the urge to fall into old habits. Instead, pause, reflect, and choose a path that aligns with your values. Each time you do, you're reinforcing a powerful message to yourself. I am enough. And finally, let's keep this conversation going. If you found value in this video, like it and leave a comment saying number 1 to let us know what resonated most with you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more wisdom on Stoicism, Stoic relationships, and personal growth. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder of their worth. They might just thank you for it. Thank you for watching and for taking the time to invest in yourself. Remember, you hold the power to create a life of purpose, strength, and resilience. Keep going, stay true to your values, and we'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and stay strong.